Hey guys, before we get started on the Lexus GS hybrid review, I wanted to do a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Vincero Collective Watches. Now you guys have seen me do a shout out to them in the past on two of their other popular style, the Chrono and the Bellwether. Now this time they've actually sent me over another one of their best sellers. This is known as the Kairos S Mesh. And finished in a matte black. This is actually my new favorite style of watches. This is a really popular style right now. And just like the other styles that I have showed you, the case is finished in a surgical grade stainless steel. It's 42 millimeters in diameter. The watch face is made of a crystal sapphire glass, so it's scratch resistant and water resistant. And this band here is interchangeable, so if you don't want the stainless steel band that this one has, you can also switch out to a leather band. Now what I really like about the Vincero brand is they kind of offer a timeless, elegant, and classy look that looks a lot more expensive than its price would suggest, kind of similar to some of the cars that I do reviews on. Now, if you guys are interested in picking up one of these watches, they're actually having a 4th annual blowout sale right now where they're celebrating the 4 years they've been in business. And if you guys want to follow the link that I have in the description below, you can basically take either 15, 20, or 25% off depending on how much you actually spend. This sale is happening right now, so you definitely want to hurry and take advantage of that relatively quickly. But with all that said, let's get on with the Lexus GS hybrid review. When you look at a luxury brand, oftentimes their mid-size sedan offering is the best indication of who they are as a brand. Now, when you look at the Lexus GS, this car has been in the Lexus lineup since 1993, and this 4th generation first showed up in the States back in 2013. Now, since then, a lot of things have changed in the marketplace, especially when you look at the mid-size luxury sedan buyer. So today, Lexus has dropped off a 2018 Lexus GS 450h. Where does it stand in this segment? That's what we're here to find out. So when you look at the Lexus lineup, they technically have two mid-size luxury sedans. This and the Lexus ES, which I actually just showed you guys a full review for the redesigned 7th generation. You can see the GS was all new back in 2013, and Lexus made extensive updates for the 2016 model year. This is actually the hybrid version, which I haven't had a chance to show you guys. It's a really slow seller for Lexus. They really don't sell that many of these, but we're gonna talk about some of the reasons why that may be the case. Now, looking at the styling, you can see all of the current Lexus design theme is here. The big spindle grille taking over the front end. It got updated headlights for 2016 where they split the headlight from the LED running light. It's got that fishhook LED running light with the premium triple beam LEDs. These are full LED headlights, no fog lights, because instead Lexus gives you kind of this lower front fascia with a air intake. I think this car actually still looks pretty attractive, especially in this particular one with the Matador Red, the F Sport package, which kind of gives you the mesh intricate L's in the grille, which gives you a different finish. The car definitely has a unique look to it. You won't mistake this for anything else on the road, although I will argue that the new ES definitely is starting to take away the thunder from this car. Now, when you look at the wheels of this particular one, these are the 19-inch wheels that come on the F Sport model. They're actually one of my favorite looking wheels that Lexus offers. They're staggered as well. These are 235s in the front, 265s in the back, running on summer tires. As you guys know, this car is rear-wheel drive, and that's kind of where it differentiates itself in the lineup compared to the ES. Now, when you look at the size of this car, it also may confuse you. You think this car is bigger than the ES, but it's not. Its wheelbase at 112 inches long is about 2 inches shorter than the ES, and overall length is about 192 inches long, which again makes it about 2 inches shorter than the all-new Lexus ES. This car definitely still has a great presence to it, but its older design is definitely becoming more noticeable, especially when you start looking at the new LS, LC, and Lexus ES. Now at the rear, Lexus again gave this an update for 2016 with refreshed full LED taillights with kind of this like clear lens finish. I think it actually looks pretty attractive. I like the subtle rear spoiler. There's a blue Lexus badge here to show this is the F Sport model along with the F-Sport badge over there. Now below here, there's actually no exhaust tips, although it looks like there could be exhaust tips. This is because this is the hybrid model. If you guys go for like a 200T or 300, which has the 2-liter turbo, or the 350, that'll have the exhaust tips. Now, this one also has the optional power opening trunk for $400, and the trunk size is definitely compromised because this is the hybrid. You lose about 2 cubic feet, making this around 13.2 cubic feet of space. That's actually less than what you get in some compact cars, so cargo capacity is definitely suffering. The seats also don't fold down because the hybrid batteries live there as opposed to the newer Lexus ES, which has the batteries underneath the seats. Under here, there's also no spare tire. You just have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. Heading to the interior of the GS, you can see when you first approach it, this particular combination that my tester is, the Matador red with the beige interior, it still looks pretty attractive. Is it better looking than the ES? I'll leave that up to you, but you can see here's the key fob that comes standard with all the GS models. My tester has kind of like a key glove that you get from the dealer as an accessory. It's got the traditional buttons here. It has the smart key access that you expect in a vehicle like this. So when you approach the vehicle, just like other Lexus products, just touch the door handle right here on this ridge portion that will lock the doors. The mirrors also electrically fold to unlock it. There's a sensor on the back of the handle. Just touch it with the key fob on you and it will unlock the door for you. Now looking at the interior, my tester has a color that's called flaxen. It's a really attractive shade of kind of like a caramel beige mixture. It's a really nice looking interior. If you guys want a red leather option, Lexus offers what they call circuit red, which also looks nice. Not available on the red exterior color, of course, but you can see the interior still looks pretty attractive, very Lexus-like, with a lot of the styling cues in here, but it makes a great first impression. The seats you can see here are like 16-way power adjustment. There's a 3-person memory setting. So Lexus definitely gives you a lot of the functions, and the leather also is really smooth. The seats are heated and cooled, so that's a great feature. Now stepping inside, you can see the step-in height. Actually, it feels good. I mean, this is a typical sedan. I want to say it's very similar to the new ES that I just drove, but without getting in the cars, you know, at the same day, it's hard for me to really tell. But when you shut the door, it still sounds okay. That little rattle you heard is my gum that I left in the door pockets. Now, to start the vehicle up, just put your foot on the brake, push this button here to start everything up. Now you can see here, looking at the interior of the GS, the interior looks pretty attractive still. Lexus definitely made some updates to this interior over the years, although that 12.3-inch screen will definitely still wow a lot of you who have never been in a modern Lexus product. It's also nice that it's kind of buried into this deep well in the dash to kind of hide it from glare. The new ES that I showed you, remember, had the more tablet-style looking display, but this display is optional. Standard on this particular trim, it looks pretty good. The gauges also, these are specific to the F-Sport model. They don't actually move where they have that floating tachometer that moves back and forth. Instead, you kind of have, you know, fixed gauges with a LCD helper screen over there. If you switch this little drive mode selector here to sport, you can see it gives you a tachometer and kind of that LFA style display that you've seen on other Lexus products. It's controlled from this little display here. Overall, the gauges, while some competitors have definitely gone to a full LCD, this definitely still has a unique look to it. It is an LCD in the actual center and to the left over there. The door panels here are also soft touch, which feels good. There's some aluminum trim, aluminum accented door handles, very soft and padded right here where your elbows would rest. In this area here, you can put your phone. The windows are one touch for all four. They feel nice. They also slow as they approach when they close, which is nice. You can see, push this button here, the mirrors will electrically fold in. The window controls also feel nice and tactile, nice and solid. There's piano black plastic trim accenting it. The steering wheel is tilt telescoping power, which you expect in a luxury car. It's the older Lexus steering wheel. You have these plastic steering wheel paddle shifters here that control the CVT. The leather feels good. It's a nice, you know, extension for your bolsters where you can rest your hands. Overall, the steering wheel looks nice, although I do prefer the new steering wheel that's on the ES, but that's just a preference. Over here, you can see there's more buttons for your heated steering wheel controls, automatic high beams. This vehicle also has a head-up display. It's $900. The display itself is also pretty small. You get a much larger display with more information in the new ES. So again, this is kind of reminding you that this is an older design. The dashboard here, you can see there's really nice soft leather that stitches the upper top portion here, which is also real stitching. It's not fake. There's some soft touch injection molded plastic here on this portion. There's more aluminum trim. It's all soft touch down here where your or where the glove compartment door is, and then you have the traditional analog clock. Now over here you can see all your audio source or audio information, and your climate information is here. You can also access it via the screen as well if you want to, you know, make it a little bit more complicated. Lexus allows you to put it up there. I really like the actual hard buttons here. I also like the representation of that when you are changing it. You have heated and cooled seats, which are controlled down here. There's a nice little automatic function, which is definitely nice. Over here, you can see there's a cup holder here, 2 of them, with a good amount of storage if you want to use that more aluminum trim. This controls the CVT transmission. It's unique to the hybrid model. It doesn't have the actual 4-speed auto that's combined with the LC, but we'll go into the driving dynamics later on. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's a backup camera over there. The rear sunshade also will power down automatically if you have it actually open. No 360 camera, which surprised me, but you do have trajectory. You do have parking sensors. Some of the other Lexus products give you a 360 camera. The camera quality also is a little bit grainy. It's nothing really super special. Over here you can see drive mode selector, very conventional shift knob here. So if you guys prefer that, you're gonna like this gated style shifter. Now, this controller here is the Lexus Enform controller. This is the older one where, again, you have this little mouse that kind of scrolls around, which allows you to move a cursor on the screen. Now, when you go to the menu display here, you can see it shows you like 9 different sources you could go to. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is still missing. Of course, you're gonna get that on the new Lexus ES. It's the only Lexus at the time of filming this to actually have Apple CarPlay. This system, the graphics, while they are good, I mean, going to the map display here, you can see it's the same Toyota Lexus map that we've seen, just beefed up for the Lexus version. I think the actual joystick here is definitely worse to use than the trackpad. But the trackpad's also pretty bad, just because if I'm wanting to like pick something, I tend to overshoot things very easily. And then when I'm actually trying to select something, if you hit a bump, the bump will cause you to kind of select or move the cursor again, and you'll miss whatever you were choosing. So it's definitely very frustrating. The trackpad is better, but it's still pretty bad. Until Lexus really updates the system, I highly recommend you guys try the new Acura RDX with their true touchpad display. Watch my video if you guys haven't done so already. There's a nice little padded area here where you can rest your hands while using this. There's lots of shortcut buttons. The system itself is not bad, but it's just very difficult to use while you're driving. Over here you can see nice padded armrest that slides back to reveal more buttons for the parking sensors and then the power rear sunshade. 2 USB ports over there, a little bit more storage, which is always nice. There is a decent sized glove compartment here, which has kind of 2 levels of storage, a place for your owner's manual, and then it's lined with felt. It's good, or it's stamped. Over here on the seats, you can see, I like the way the seats look. They're also really comfortable, really soft leather. They're heated and cooled. I like all the adjustability. Just no massage function is available. You have to go to the Lexus LS to get that. But overall, this interior, I think, definitely still looks pretty special. The infotainment system is the biggest weak point, and then it's missing some wow factor you get in like a Mercedes-Benz E-Class or an Audi A6 or S6. But overall, it's a roomy feeling cabin that will still impress a lot of people when you first step inside. So under the hood of the Lexus GS 450h, this is actually the top engine in the lineup if you ignore the GSF, which has a V8, which is kind of like its own performance model. This is a combination of Toyota's hybrid, or Lexus's hybrid drive system. It's a 3.5 liter direct port injected V6 that runs on the Atkinson cycle. On its own, it makes around 296 horsepower. Now, when you factor in the electric motors, combined output Lexus says is around 338 horsepower. And of course, they don't rate torque figure because of it's a hybrid system. Now, this is a different powertrain than what you get and what I've showed you guys in the LC 500H or the LS 500H, being that it has a traditional CVT and it also makes a little bit less power. Those vehicles make like 354. Now, fuel economy is also pretty good. This is rated at 29 in the city and 34 on the highway, about 31 combined. That's about 2 to 4 mpg better than a lot of its hybrid competition. As you guys know, this may compete with like an Acura RLX Sport Hybrid or the BMW 530e. Now, this car only comes with rear-wheel drive. If you want all-wheel drive, you need to downgrade to the regular V6. And of course, this is going to run on premium gas. All in all, this weighs around 4,200 pounds. Let's get out on the road and see how this all performs. So it's been a couple years since I drove a Lexus GS. The last one I drove was actually the GSF, the fire-breathing one that I absolutely loved about 2 years ago. Now, having just driven the new Lexus ES, the Lexus LS, the Lexus LC, stepping into the GS definitely feels like you're driving an older Lexus product. That could be a good thing, or that could be a bad thing. There's still a lot of positive qualities about this car. It still has a really comfortable, smooth ride. It still has these buttery soft seats. It still feels very cushy, very much what you expect from a Lexus. Now, regarding the visibility, also, it's easy to see out of this car. You have good size side mirrors. You have a good view out of the front, good view out of the back, because this is a more conventional shaped sedan, so it doesn't have any of that coupe-like look to it. Now, this hybrid model makes an interesting proposition because I actually haven't had a chance to drive the hybrid. The 2-liter turbo is good, a little bit underpowered. The V6, I've only driven the 6-speed automatic one, which is what you get with all-wheel drive. The transmission holds it back. This hybrid with the CVT and the V6, you know, makes the most power if you exclude the GS model. So let's get out on the road and see how this car, or this combination, feels. Now, as I said earlier, this car only comes with rear-wheel drive, and it's what makes the GS such a joy when you put your foot down compared to even the newer ES that I drove. It just puts the power down a lot better versus the front-wheel drive only ES. And in terms of handling and the steering feel, this is still pretty good. I mean, Lexus, you know, even though it has a reputation for being a comfortable car that's not great for corners, the GS was kind of one of the first Lexus vehicles to change that. It still has very quick, precise steering. The body itself does feel pretty stable, but this car feels big, which is interesting because it's actually smaller than the ES. The new ES that I drove feels like it's a little bit more nimble through the corners, but man, when you put your foot down, this thing will still chirp its tires. You never thought you could do that in a hybrid. And I'm actually kind of glad that Lexus doesn't offer all-wheel drive in this model, but it's probably the reason why it doesn't sell as well is because most people in this class tend to want all-wheel drive. The enthusiast, I don't think, is going to go for the hybrid version. Now, Lexus says the 450h will get to 60 in around 5.6 seconds, and it makes it about the same speed, if not maybe a little quicker than the GS 350, just the gas engine only model. And the hybrid definitely feels quick. It definitely feels like a sub 6-second car, but I just don't know if it's quick enough to justify the extra cost. I mean, the GS 350, the regular one, will sound better. If you guys go for the rear drive model with the 8-speed auto, you can get like a sport package that gives you the active rear diff, or the limited slip diff with the active rear steering. That's the one that enthusiasts are probably going to go for over a regular ES. But the hybrid, just to me, what really holds it back is the fact that it feels like a traditional hybrid. It's got a CVT that will hold the revs right at the Redline like a typical CVT, and the responsiveness is quick enough for a CVT and a hybrid. However, when you drive a newer electric car, like I just drove the new Honda Insight, and when I put my foot down, it just doesn't have that response that people who like electric cars really like. I mean, that's the reason why Tesla is so successful. You just put your foot down and it goes bam, like right into the back of the seat. This still takes a second, which is frustrating because, you know, this is a luxury hybrid. Now, of course, this is still way quicker than what you're going to get with like a Prius or a Camry hybrid, but Lexus definitely has some work to do if they're going to actually make a luxury hybrid work. The new LC500H comes to mind where the response is a little bit quicker. It's got that 10-speed virtual transmission with the 4-speed auto compared with the CVT. That actually felt quicker despite the fact that it has a similar powertrain just with a little bit more power. Now, this car does have paddle shifters, and if you'd like, you can use them. It gives you 8 virtual gears. And I have to say the paddles are useless. It doesn't really do a great job of mimicking gears. It also takes forever when I actually pull the paddle to actually shift for me. So I would just ignore the paddles, leave it in its sport mode. Now, speaking of which, if you guys go to its normal mode here, I don't really feel too much of a difference. The only thing I notice is the change in the throttle position or the actual throttle sensitivity, and the steering gets a little bit lighter. You flick it over to the right, it goes into sport mode. Flick it over one more time, it goes into sport plus. This car does have the adaptive variable suspension, so unlike the ES, it's got a double wishbone front suspension, and it handles well. The new ES has definitely caught up to this in terms of just handling. The adaptive variable suspension actually does tweak the suspension, you know, stiffness and whatnot, so it does feel relatively good and stiffer when you guys put it into the Sport Plus mode and start attacking your favorite back roads. God, that CVT just ruins the whole experience for me, because at least it's a smooth V6. That's the good thing about this car. It's the fact that it's a V6, but man, it feels a little sluggish there. But when you do get it going, it's nice and good. It's nice and quick feeling, so it's nice and smooth. It's got that typical Lexus Toyota hybrid feel, which I just think is kind of getting a little bit old. Lexus and Toyota really need to kind of go to the level that, you know, Tesla gives you. Even Honda on the new Insight, when I put my foot down, I feel more of an electric surge rather than a gas engine waiting for the CVT to drop down a ratio and then give you the acceleration. But let's talk a little bit about the fuel economy, because that's important with a hybrid. Lexus rates this at 29 city, 34 highway. I've actually been averaging 28.7 mpg in my week's worth of driving. Now on the highway, I did get it up to about 34 miles per gallon, so it's pretty much bang on with the EPA targets. That is a great mpg figure, you know, for an over 4,000 pound luxury car. I just think that there's a reason why this doesn't sell, and I think that it's a little too expensive. It's not quick enough. It still doesn't sound great to appeal to enthusiasts, and the people who actually do want something like this, they really can't afford the, you know, $64,000 starting price or the $75,000 starting price that, or as tested price, that my tester has. So after spending a full week with the GS 450h, I'm happy to report this is still one exceptional luxury sedan that has a lot of the Lexus reliability and build quality that you know and come to expect from this brand. So where does that leave the GS in the lineup? Well, if you look at the sales figures, Lexus consistently does between 15 to 20,000 of these annually. This year, unfortunately, they're only on track to do less than 10,000. So sales have really been dropping for this GS model. And that leaves the question, why? Why do you think that is? Well, the new ES that's been redesigned definitely is going to eat into the sales figure of this car as well. And to be honest, I think where the GS kind of falters is it just doesn't have the brand prestige and feel of the Mercedes E-Class and BMW 5 Series or the Audi A6, which ultimately has a very loyal buyer. People in this typical segment are very brand loyal, and the GS just needs something more to help it stand out. So where does this fit into the pricing category? Well, Lexus has not confirmed if the GS is going to be discontinued for the 2019 or 2020 model year. In Europe they have, but not in America, so Lexus is still trying to figure that out. If you are looking to pick one of these up, you can pick one up for around $46,000 for a base GS 300, which has the 2-liter turbo. The V6 costs about $4,000 more, for around $50,000. This is where the hybrid falls in, and I think this is a little overpriced. Lexus charges about $13,000 more for the 450h, starting at $63,000. This one, because it's an F Sport, starts at $68,000. As equipped, this one has every option you can get on the GS, and it's stickers for a tick under $75,000, which definitely makes it an eye-opening amount of money for the hybrid version. It actually is the same price as a BMW 530e plug-in hybrid and about $10,000 cheaper than the RLX Sport hybrid. So although the GS 450h is an excellent vehicle, it gets great gas mileage, as you guys saw from the test drive, I think you're better off, if you're wanting one of these, to just pick up a GS 350 F Sport, which is around $60,000 fully loaded. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2018 GS 450h. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.